Here, I would like to briefly introduce the DolphinScheduler Python API. It is an API to get workflow done by defining and creating it via Python code. Before start, let's learn how to create a workflow and make it work on WebUI. Because what Python API does is to encode part of drag actions. Now let us get back to the WebUI. We should raise a project before creating a workflow. Now raise a simple project. Then check the workflow definition page to create a one-task workflow. Here, we should name the workflow and ensure the status online so that it can be triggered. After it is triggered, a workflow instance will be created automatically. When reviewing the log, we can find the output is echo 1, which meets our expectation. If we create a workflow by using Python API, it will also know a workflow and an instance automatically when it is triggered. Its log and rerun instance page will also get processed on this page instead of Python API. Get back to the definition of Python API. We can see there are more than 60 rows of code here, and less than 20 rows are create code of Python API. It first defines a process definition, which is the name of our workflow. We will define the name, scheduling time and tenant of the workflow. Besides, we create 4 need tasks. The first one will be the task parent. The second and third ones will process the child 1 and child 2 task. At last, there will be a union task downstream of child 1 and child 2. When the tasks have been created, it will create the workflow as shown. Here we have completed the definition of workflow and tasks. Then, we should set the relationship between tasks. As there is a synchronous task for both child tasks, we should raise a list and make child 1 and child 2 list elements. Then set the list downstream as task parent. At the same time, the bitwise operator is reloaded. We can utilize it to settle upstream and downstream tasks. At last, submit the task definition to DolphinScheduler. And the run method is required to process the task. Now run the whole workflow. Then we can find there is a new project on the project definition page after the workflow run. Enter the project and check the workflow definition. We can see the tutorial workflows as shown. These 4 tasks are the tasks defined by Python API, and since they are submitted by run method, it will form a workflow instance with well running. And the organization way of its deck is the same as the definition. Click each task so we can read its log. We can see the union task output the union string. Back to Python API, we only trigger the task definition workflow before. The other actions, such as checking the log or array, processing the workflow, should turn back to the WebUI page.